Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Diva Like Edwina's overview of ADD, ADHD. I'm Anastasia, your host, and this is my Inner Diva segment. Uh, so far, I've discussed what causes ADD, the symptoms, medications that are available, and the myths about ADHD and what causes it, what doesn't cause it. Now I'm going to discuss as briefly as possible what led uh, to me finally getting the answer that I have been searching for all my life as to exactly what was wrong with me. Um, Basically, what happened was uh, in 2000, because this is 2013, 2011. In September 2011, a very dear friend of mine, someone that had become very dear to me, died. And uh, after my friend's death, I went into a very, very deep depression. I was having a very difficult time functioning. As you know, I kept getting sick, and I know that it was because of the depression. My immune system had was low, and on top of that, I did not get my yearly flu shot. And I know that there are some of you out there in YouTube land who feel that flu shots, you shouldn't bother or whatever. But in my particular case, I do take them because they have been helpful to me to ward off illness. Anywho, the grief, the depression, and then the failure to get the flu shot, and then on top of that, I wasn't really eating right. Um, Led to me getting sick quite a bit uh, from between, I would say, late September through uh, February. And I was off work the first time I got sick. I was off work a week, and I came back, and I was a little bit behind on things, but I was getting things together, and then I got sick again. The second time I was out, I think was almost 2 weeks or something. It was pretty bad. Uh, so it took me a little bit longer to kind of get things together, but I did. And in December of 2011, during the holiday break, I went to visit my mother, and all I pretty much did the time I was there was sleep. I slept a lot, and my mother noticed that, I um, just wasn't really together. I just, it just she just noticed I didn't have focus. I just didn't have it together. So when I got back uh, from visiting my mother at the beginning of the year, I went back to work, and I went and I took out a small loan to help. I had actually taken out a small loan. I believe it was in December before I went to go visit my mom to help with bills and stuff. And I was actually paying that back. I was almost done paying it back when I got back in January. I took out another small loan to kind of to help out with some things there. And so I had the two loans, and I was paying down the loans. I had paid off the first loan, and I was paying off the second loan. In February of 2012, that was when the poo-poo stuff happened, I all I could say is I broke out in stupid bumps. That's the only way I can describe what went on. All of a sudden, I started going all over town, taking out loans. And I didn't know why I was doing it. And I kept doing it. And then it was like I was getting this weird charge or a buzz. Every time I got a loan, it was like, ooh, like I got high or something. And it was just the weirdest thing. And then it got to the point where I was having a difficult time keeping up with the payments and plus pay, rent and food and all the other stuff because I kept taking out these loans and I didn't know why I was doing that. I never did anything like that. And then, like I said, all of a sudden I just broke out in stupid bumps. And so finally, I realized that, I need to get some kind of help or something. So I called my therapist, and I hadn't talked to her in about 3 or 4 years. And I told her what was going on, and I told her that I need to get some help. I said, because if I go any further with this, I felt like at some point I might, commit suicide or something because I just didn't feel stable. I felt out of control and I didn't understand why I was doing all this stuff. And then logically it was like, you shouldn't do this, but then I was doing, it was just weird. So I talked to her and she said, uh, we never talked about this before. And I said, I know, because I had been misdiagnosed with the sleep thing. And so we were talking about getting sleep and all some other kinds of stuff. And she said, Edwina, it sounds like uh, you may have ADD or ADHD or maybe you're bipolar. And I said, oh, no, I'm not bipolar. Hell, I know what bipolar is. So I thought, yeah, I know what that is. I ain't sleeping around with everybody in town. I'm not bipolar. So, I'm not violent. I'm not beating up people. So, like I said, I thought I knew what it was. I thought I knew what they had. No, I'm not ADHD. No, because if I had ADHD, I'd be bouncing off the walls. I'd be so hyper, not knowing. So what happened was, I went on, what I did was I went on psychcentral.com and did the diagnostics that they have on there. And I did all the ones that they had. I even did the Asperger syndrome one. And I had to stop that one because that absolutely didn't apply to me. But a lot of I did the depression, I did the anxiety, I did bipolar, I did ADD, ADHD. I did all of the diagnostics. And unfortunately, I tested high on all of the diagnostics, I should say, I took. So at that point, I was beginning to see what could possibly be the problem, the real problem. And I went online and I started researching ADD, ADHD, bipolar. I had previously been diagnosed with depression and anxiety. So but I researched that again. I reviewed it again. And still a lot of that applied to me. And also to my surprise and dismay, did the bipolar and the ADHD. So when I did my diagnostic, and I went to go see the therapist afterwards, and we went over the online diagnostic, and she recommended me to a psychiatrist. And I went to the psychiatrist, and she did an evaluation of me in her office. And after the evaluation, I was officially diagnosed as having bipolar 1 and ADHD. So the situation that came about after my friend's death was basically the straw that broke the camel's back. I had been dealing with this all of my life, but that particular situation did it, because, like I said, I've never done anything like that before, and I do have an impulsive side to me, and I admit that, uh, but nothing like that, um, and again, it really bothered me that I was getting a kick out of it. That was what was really tripping me out. It was like, well, why am I feeling good about this? This is terrible. So, um, so now that after I got the diagnosis and everything, um, I began treatment at least for the bipolar part of it with the medications, and then I've been taking supplements for both my bipolar and my ADHD, and striving to make changes in my diet as well, because there is a nutritional aspect to this as well. So in this part, I just wanted to discuss uh, what led finally to the diagnosis. Now, there are some other books that I had an opportunity to look through, not so much read, because um, right now I'm still struggling with the reading part, but I was able to find some more books at the library to look through. And this one's called Beyond ADD, Hunting for Reasons in the Past and Present by Tom Hartman. This author also wrote The Complete Guide to ADHD, Help for Your Family at Home, School, and Work. And uh, basically, Tom Hartman, he basically feels that individuals that have ADD, ADHD are hunter people. And let me find the part. I'm going to come back, because I'm going to find this part in here about the hunter people. And I guess this kind of smacks of the evolutional kind of thing to me. I don't know, but he did point out some things, some characteristics about hunters, and some characteristics about farmers. And so basically, that was what he was basing his two books on, that belief, and then how individuals with ADD, ADHD can manage their symptoms, and also harness the positive aspects of that, which is the creativity, the ability to think outside of the box, and all of that stuff. All right, so I'm going to stop right here, and then we'll come back and speak briefly about farmers and hunters.